Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Rock Stars Girls Lax podcast with me, Ronnie Davis, and Craig the Spazman Simmons.
What's up? How you doing, man?
Good. Spaz, this is our last podcast before we take a
No,
little break. Yeah,
no, say it ain't so.
we got to take a little break and come back. Get ready to get back in September. But it's been a long and illustrious event here at Rock doing this podcast with. When we started with Scholastic, we jumped right into Scholastic.
Yeah.
And we moved through the sectionals and states and
the highly competitive world of girls club lacrosse.
Absolutely.
And it pretty much finished up this weekend. Club did.
Okay.
I mean, there's a tournament left in Lake Placid, and I think that there's a Capital Cup tournament. I'm not sure if any of the local teams are going down there, but to Virginia to play. But this past weekend was like the final hurrah for it was at the Mid-Atlantic Club Championships.
And from what you were telling me, it was huge. Like 350 teams?
6 locations,
That's
350
crazy.
teams.
Now, weren't you telling me 6 different locations or 6 fields?
6 different locations.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and all around Maryland.
That is a major deal.
Yeah, huge event. And there were several, not only Monster was there this weekend, but, there were Common Goal teams were there, Relentless Hustle teams were there, FCA teams were there, which is, those are 3 other local clubs in Rochester besides Monster. And it was a good weekend. And it was a lot of games, but the thing that I always press so much on, especially at the 21 level, that because they're in their tour right now, they're in the final stages of their tour. They can actually start talking to college coaches in September, the 2021s. But hundreds and hundreds of college coaches were at one location, St. Paul's School for Girls, that's where the 21s were. Right. Also, all the 21 games were at St. Paul's, one location, and it was the coaches' tents were filled, the sidelines were filled with coaches. It was just a great opportunity to go out there and play as best you can, and to try to get an opportunity for some of these college coaches to take notice of your athletic ability, and maybe come September they're going to start offering some scholarships.
Now, it sounds like this is the biggest tournament, the biggest deal of the season, like the Mecca kind of.
It is between this and Lax for the Cure. Are the 2 biggest. But also, excuse me, last weekend we were at what's called the G8, which is called the Grade 8, right? Where it's only, it's invitation only. The Mid-Atlantic tournament we played this weekend, if you can get online and register fast when it comes out, you can get in. That doesn't mean you're going to get in the top brackets.
I remember talking about that.
Yeah, but the G8 last weekend, the Monster Club 21 and 22 levels went and played in the Grade 8, the G8, and that was every college coach in the country was there, and it was just the best against the best. It was no championship style. You didn't win a T-shirt, you didn't win a backpack. You just played 5 games, but you played against the 5 best teams in the country, and at 2 levels. It was at a highly competitive level and a competitive level. So all the clubs there had 2 teams at each level.
And you were saying the purple and the white.
Correct.
Okay. And the purple's the quote unquote better of the 2. Or the more skilled, or what's the
more competitive.
How do we tiptoe around that?
There's no tiptoeing. It's more competitive, and you go play against the other teams, more dominant color teams. So whether it's black or purple or blue or whatever it may be. So the more dominant color teams play against each other, and the less dominant play against each other. All in all, it was a great weekend. I mean, the Monster 22 purple, I think they went 4-1, and the Monster 21 purple went 4-0. Now, usually you play 5 games, but weather became a factor, and we weren't able to play 1 game. But to go down there, against those teams and be that successful, with all those coaches watching, I mean, those kids, I give those kids a lot of credit. They went down there and played against the best and so forth, and did well. And the white teams as well. The white teams went out there and competed just as well last weekend. All close games, all very competitive games. But it was just a great showing for Monster just to be at that tournament. For one, you got to be invited. You can't. No one can just sign up, and to be just involved in that conversation with the Yellow Jackets and the M&D and Skywalkers and Heroes, Capital. Just to be involved in that is a huge benefit and a huge honor for the kids from Monster Lacrosse.
Now, do you think you did well enough this season to be getting, to be invited back? Are you still on the list? Or once you're on the list, you're always on the list? Or do you have to, is it a recurring thing every year that they have to, go down the list and check it out?
No, you have to be competitive. You have to, if you go 0-5, I'm not sure you're going to be asked back.
Okay, but
the game's got to be competitive.
But you had enough teams that were competitive enough that are going to be invited back, you think?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, like I said, we went 4-1 at the 22 level, and we went 4-0 at the 20 level, and the white teams, all their games were competitive. So, with that being said, I talked to the director actually yesterday, and he said that he's looking forward to us coming back.
Now, how deep does this go? How far down does it go? 25s, 26, 27s?
There's 3 levels, but the lowest level has less teams. It's really not that important to be in at that level. So next year it'll be the 22 Monsters and the 23 Monsters that will go and compete over these 3 days down there.
Now, I have a question, and it might sound silly. All right, it might sound silly.
Question.
But how you said there's hundreds of coaches.
Hundreds.
Now, is this just a word of mouth thing, or does the tournament send out invitations to the coaches? How do all these hundreds of coaches know when and where to be?
So, I mean, they go. It's pretty much known where you're going to go to, Lax for the Cure. You're going to go to G8. You're going to go to Mid Atlantic. And those are the 3 majors. Along with Live Love Lax. There was a plethora of college coaches at Wells. So here's the key is you want to go wherever the Yellow Jackets and M&D are. Those are the 2 top clubs in the country, right? So wherever they are, you want to be there because that's where the college coaches are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what you sacrifice is you sacrifice the backpack, winning the T-shirt. That's if you are able to go down there and win, a bracket, it's you better hang on to that backpack because they come few and far between, right?
Sure.
So the college coaches kind of follow where those clubs are. So wherever they are, that's where you want to be, and that's what we've been able to do with Monster is get in those conversations with. In those divisions and in the brackets.
But I remember you telling me the backpack isn't the goal. The backpack isn't the end run. Getting in front of all those eyes,
correct,
is the end run.
But try telling that to a bunch of kids.
True story. True story.
I mean, we had teams down. Our youngest team was at the tournament this weekend was 2026s. They're going into I think 6th grade, so they're not so much worried about college coaches watching. They want the backpack.
Oh yeah.
And unfortunately, they didn't get it because, like I said, it's such a tough grind to go down there and win it. But they were all competitive. I think 5 of my teams made the playoffs this weekend. And, I have to note because I think it's important that Relentless Hustle was there. They didn't make a playoff. Common Goal was there. They didn't make a playoff. FCA was there. They didn't make a playoff. And also, they didn't play in the good divisions. I will say this, that my 24 team – matched up, did play a game against Relentless Hustle. Finally, right? We, all the teams around here, they don't want to play each other. They think it's a hunting ground. They're going to lose kids. But we were the 24 teams were able to play each other, Relentless Hustle. And it was a game. I give, Relentless Hustle 24 team a lot of credit. They came out and they played. It was, to be honest, it was probably like their Super Bowl. Monster won, by 1 goal. Close game. It was competitive. So
it only takes 1.
Yeah, I got to give Relentless Hustle 24 some credit for, coming and playing. And they played a good game. I didn't see the game, but from what I understand, the coaches told me, it was like their Super Bowl. They planned for it. They strategized for it. I think probably, there's no excuses why Monster didn't win by more goals. It was a good game, but I think that Monster was planning, preparing to play M&D Black, which was their next game. And, that's the creme de la creme when you play them, right?
I got you.
They probably overlooked Relentless Hustle. I heard Relentless Hustle came out in a zone defense. Monster has never practiced, to beat a zone. Who would think who's going to play a zone defense in 7th grade, right?
Yeah.
It's like in basketball. I mean, you coach basketball. Can you imagine, going out in a 3-4 game, a 3rd and 4th grade game and putting your team in a zone?
No, it would. Now, if we kind of want to, excuse me, I want to walk it back real quick. You said that they don't want to play each other because is that because are you saying they're afraid they're going to jump ship from one program to the other? They're going to let. Well, I expound on that if you will.
Yeah. So there's not great blood between the local clubs. I mean, there's a lot of what's called horse trading. Kids. If kids don't make the team at Monster, they'll go try out for Relentless Hustle or Common Goal or FCA, right? So at the end of the day, it all shakes out where the more competitive kids are in one place. Right. But there's always the chance that there is 1 or 2 kids that slip through the cracks and are on one of the other teams that are good enough to come play for Monster.
Okay.
So if we see that kid, if we go out there and play against them and we see that kid and we basically say identify this kid as a kid that's probably could play at our level, we would, probably go after, go talk to the parents and say, hey, look, not for nothing, but your kid should probably be in a more competitive environment.
Okay.
Right.
I got you.
And the other clubs don't like that. They don't have that mentality. Right. They, they look at it as a good thing, bad thing. I look at it as, survival of the fittest.
I was going to say as a real thing.
And, to me, it's a business, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we need to be the most competitive team we could be to go play in those tournaments. So we're constantly looking for, the player that's going to be competitive enough to come play on our team. And whether they're playing for another team, it really doesn't matter to us.
I get it. You want to put the best players you can on the field at any given time.
And it's also better for the kid, right? I mean, do you want to be a big fish in a small pond, but go fishing in a small lake? I mean, if you got a kid that has an opportunity to play with us, right, and go out there in front of hundreds of college coaches, which the other clubs are not supplying that platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you hold the kid back? I would say go. It's no different than hockey, right? Tier 1 hockey. If you're a great hockey player in Rochester, New York, do you continue to play here?
Well, Canandaigua has an example of a player that isn't going to come and play his senior year for Canandaigua. He's going to go, to the next level and play up in Rochester for the Monarchs, right. Carter McWilliams. So, perfect example of exactly what you're talking about. So what you don't see a lot then, it sounds like in your area of expertise, the club level, you don't get a bunch of, but my friends are playing over here for them, so I don't want to leave them and come over here and play for you because of the investment, the money, the time, the focus and the energy. Am I making sense at all?
Well, you do get that at first. That's definitely, that's probably the main reason that some of these clubs are able to hold on. Is because you get one kid and you get 5 friends, they all want to play together.
Gotcha.
But eventually the separation happens, right? I mean, we're going to hold tryouts in September, right? First 2 weeks in September. And we're probably going to have 350 kids at tryouts to come try out for all our teams, right? They're going to want to see, are they capable of playing at that level? And sometimes the separation, we'll get kids come over and say, look, we've been with this other club, but it's going nowhere. We see what's happening. We see the type of club that Monster is running and getting in front of the top colleges, and that's the end goal right now. And little kids, they may say, well, we're just going to play with our friends. We're going to go to some local tournaments. We're going to have our own tournaments, whatever it may be.
That makes sense.
And that's okay. But eventually we get the best kids.
But the deeper you go, the more that shakes out.
Correct.
So how intense is your tryout process? Not to scare anybody away.
No.
Just if we're talking about it, let's dig into it a little bit. How intense is that process?
It's intense enough that we are able to see the separation in kids over a 2-week period of time. So, I mean, with that being said, it's fast. It is intense. It's, the ball doesn't hit the ground much. It's going, and you see kids fall off. Like last year, fortunately, the first day of tryouts, I think we had, it's like the Navy SEALs. You had,
I was just thinking that myself.
3 kids rang the bell and said, you know what, this it's not for us.
It usually takes care of itself.
Yeah,
in that situation,
plays itself out, and like I said, at the end of the day, we end up with the best kids and the most athletic kids and kids that really want to be lacrosse players.
Mm-hmm.
The soccer thing, with the whole women winning the World Cup hasn't done anything good for women's lacrosse. I'll say that, because now you got all these kids that want to go be soccer players, right?
Yeah.
And where lacrosse is, the opportunities for kids to play at a next level is much. Your chances of doing that is much better than going to play USL soccer, right? So, it's the world we live in, I guess, right? I mean, is it right? I'm not sure, but is everybody doing it? Yeah, I guess. I mean, but the opportunities when you see these colleges writing checks, basically giving scholarships and providing opportunities for kids to have admission spots in the Ivy League and that kids wouldn't normally get unless they were playing lacrosse, right?
I get you.
So, but we got to be competitive. It's dog eat dog.
My next question is, how do you ever feel the eyeballs on you?
All the time, all the time.
There's that Ronnie Davis again.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they see me coming and they're just like, oh, geez, he's going to take our best player.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is, the parents, they're so goofy that they think that, oh, we got this, little team, rah, 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 and Jane and Sally, they're having so much fun. Question is, Jane's, going to be a 6'1" monster. Sally's going to be a twig. Jane's got to separate from Sally eventually.
Yeah.
If she wants to go to the next level. And most kids, as they get older, it gets more intense and more clear. The picture gets clearer of, who's going to play, lacrosse for college and who's not. Not every kid in 5th and 6th grade, 7th grade right now is going to play lacrosse in college.
Well, they're not thinking about it either too much, but I like the way you said, if they want to. Like, I told you before, I used to work with a basketball program, and the guy came and said, should we do a 3-4 travel? And I'm like, what's the question? He goes, I don't know. Should we? Is that too young? I said, is the demand there? Do people want to do it? If people want to do it, then provide it for them. It's like Jerry Springer. He says, right. Am I the bad guy for having the show, or are you the bad guy for watching it?
Right.
So you're just providing the forum with which to go to the next level and get in front of all those eyes.
Yeah, and develop the kids, right? We train year round. We train 11 months a year, and I believe that's a huge part of it. And when we go down there, we hear nonstop from other club coaches and even college coaches. Well, Ronnie, your kids' stick skills are off the charts. They're better than everybody else's, and that's because we work. When we come, we're not really playing steal the bacon and those throwing water balloons at each other, right? We come to practice, and after practice, throw all the water.
Your team bonding is practicing.
We don't do a day at Chuck E. Cheese's with a monster group. That doesn't happen.
I got you.
And that's different for some kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
That they're used to, but. It's been, like I said, we have 260 kids in our program now. We expect 300 to 400 kids at tryouts. And, we have a brand new facility being built behind Brighton Sports Zone for us. And, you're going to see just more development, more kids, 100%. I shouldn't say 100. One kid on our 2020s is not committed yet, but she's pretty much said that she's going to go in a different direction. Than instead of playing lacrosse in college. But I can assure you, come September 1st, my 2021s it's gonna be like Jerry Maguire. Remember when Jerry Maguire, comes back from lunch and the phones are, all lit up on his phone, and that's what it's gonna be like, because they've been so competitive over their tour, playing against the top teams. In order to do that, you got to have top kids, right? So, and speaking of that, I know you have a list in front of you of all Greater Rochester.
Well, I've got the All Greater Rochester came out. Well, you were out running around living the life of leisure,
right?
The AGR came out, and 7 of the 16 are monsters.
Correct.
They're all juniors. They're all juniors. They're all your. Sorry, we're talking. I don't know. Are we talking scholastic language or are we using club language? If we're using club language, they're 2020s.
Right.
If we're using scholastic language, they're juniors.
Correct.
But they're juniors. So 7. The next closest one is Common Goal with 4.
Right.
So half as many. So that alone, just this little list right here, just this little snippet is, documentation, verification of what you're talking about. So,
And did you see the honorable mention list?
I did see the honorable mention list. It's yes, the honorable mention list is yes.
That's littered with monster players.
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah.
It is. I'm talking about just the first team. Yep, just the first team, and there's 16 of them.
Yep.
And 7 are monsters, 4 are Common Goal, 3 are Lady Rock, and 2 are Relentless. And again, every other there's what do I have here? I've got 8 seniors, 6 juniors, and 2 sophomores, and both sophomores are monsters.
Monster players.
Rhea Davis and Kristen. Is it
Yeah,
Kristen?
KJ.
Yeah, KJ.
KJ.
She was in my top 5.
Yeah,
she was in one of
absolutely.
my top 5s.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 weeks, but I know she was at least one. I don't know if I ever got Rhea Davis into my top 5. I'm not sure if
I'm
I
not
did
sure.
or not. I'm not.
She's
but,
good. Oh man. Big strong lefty.
Like
She
I
can
said,
play.
she's strong and she doesn't mess around. If she gets knocked down, she hops right back up. She doesn't look for an excuse. She doesn't look for a ref to cry to. She just keeps on battling.
Right.
She knows if you're not going to get the call right there, saying something to a ref isn't.
Right.
That's the job of the coach. A lot of times people will say, "Why is that coach complaining? Why is he griping?" And I almost said, "Can I say bitching?" and complaining and well, if I can, I just did.
Right.
But sometimes you lay that foundation that just makes them keep a closer eye on it. But when a player gets in there and starts, riding an official, it
doesn't go well
It
for
doesn't help one little bit. But I'm just saying, she's not one of those players, and that's what I like about her. So Pittsford's got a couple, Canandaigua's got a couple, Spencerport's got 3.
Yep.
They had the most. Rush Henrietta 2, Palmaquid 2, which is a big deal to me because all Greater Rochester, whether I do or do not agree with them, with their process, how they do things, we're talking about what is done.
Yep.
And what is done is a lot of times the last ring of the suburbs, they don't get a lot of attention. The D's and the C's, the A's and the B's are the ones that get most of the looks.
Yep.
Most of the looks. And Pelmac has 2 girls, and they're obviously Emma Arnold and
Andrew Savage.
And Andrew Savage.
Yep.
And one of those is a monster.
Yeah.
I don't know I'm not sure which one Emma plays.
Plays Common Goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and then Brighton's got 1, Schrader's got 1, Concordia,
Yeah.
Fairport, and Mercy and Penfield each have 1.
Right.
So it's a nice mix spread across Monroe County. The only ones out of Monroe County were Arnold and Savage.
Right.
And they just every single one of them is committed to go to a college.
Absolutely.
And not just any college, big colleges.
Big colleges.
D1
yeah.
colleges. And the only 2 are the uncommitted 2021 or 2021s. Yeah,
Yeah.
the 21s. And you said they're going to start talking in September, right? Isn't that when you
Yeah,
said?
they'll be September 1st. Those 2 kids will be, hot off the press.
Well, one of your girls that was in your top 5 the entire season was a player of the year, Ellie Mooney.
Ellie Mooney.
Ellie Mooney, player of the year. And then Donovan Lopez, coach of the year. Yep, D-Lo, coach of the year. And I'm gonna go against that. I'm going to go against that call.
Well, D-Lo? You're going against the D-Lo call?
I'm going
boy.
against the call of D-Lo. Now, with that said, finished 17-3, in a season where even Ellie Mooney was quoted as saying, oh, man, that the DNC had her quoted as coming in from the basketball season after they, did the federation thing and all that good stuff. And she's like, oh, boy, man, we got a lot of work to do. So, obviously, a great argument can be made for the dude to be the coach of the year.
Sure.
My coach of the year, though, has a lot of experience, but he didn't have experience at the high school level. It was his first year as a high school coach.
Okay.
And here we go. Here's with the homer. Everybody's going to go, you homer. You're my coach of the year because
I appreciate that.
Well, this isn't a big deal, but to me, you earned it. And again, that's not to throw D-Lo under the bus or say he didn't deserve it. He's been around a long time. He's got 4 sectional wins with Pittsford. He's got a state title in 17 with them, and I believe I was there for that. I can't remember. I think I might have called that game. I can't remember, but no, I called the semifinal game. The semifinal game, and he's been around a long time. He's been there since 14, and then he was with Marcus Whitman for 4 or 5 years before that. So he's been there.
Sure.
He's done it. He's got the accolades and the trophies, and you came in late. All right, Ronnie Davis came in late into the program, into the mix. You didn't know what you were going to do with goalkeeping because you had lost Cassidy King, in my estimation, an All-American high school goalie. And, you lost Megan Hoffman. You lost some. I just think if you asked me, you would be my choice for Coach of the Year.
Well, I think that, obviously D'Lo's been around a while, and I don't think he's received Coach of the Year, over his time, and he has won a state title.
Yeah, I didn't look at that.
So I'm sure, I don't know how the voting works. I really don't pay attention to any of that, but I'll say this, that the list that they put out of players, I don't think they got anyone wrong on that list.
No, they don't. They don't have any wrong. Right. I mean, but if they could bump it up to 20, 25, there are a ton of players that you could include on that. But you can't have 10 Canandaigua players. You can't have 10 Pittsford players. I mean.
So my question though on it, would be, you did give three players to Spencerport, right? And everyone else got 2. Yeah. Right. I mean, where's the method to your madness there? Right?
Well, I again, I tried to preface that by saying I don't know what their criteria is, and I know Devo isn't involved anymore. So Devo, unless Jeff DeVeronica, unless he is somehow involved, maybe he's got a say or some advice. But Stevie Johnson, he came in. This is his first year dealing with girls lacrosse.
Right.
I'm not sure what their process is. I don't know what their criteria is, but I could easily think, here comes the homer. Right. I could easily come up with 3 or 4 more players from the Braves that you could have put on the first team. I could come up with some Panthers. You can come up with many, many more. And I would be interested to, maybe say, hey, what was it about Spencerport that they got one more than everybody else?
Right.
I don't know. I can't answer that. But I agree with it because that's my first thought. That's why I started to write down how many each team had.
Sure.
Yeah. So.
Well, like I said, we start out with the Player of the Year, Ellie Mooney, right? Her sister Casey from Pittsford is also, made the All Greater Rochester. From Canandaigua, we had the Big Rig, Lexi Bernicki, and Clancy Rude.
Yep.
And going down the list, you have in front of you one goalie only made it, right? Jordan Concordia.
Yeah, Concordia.
She was the only goalie that made it, which kudos to her, right? Because I don't think they had a winning season. I was
going to say on a team that was under the radar,
right?
And realistically, a coach that every time I talk to him, he's like, unless this is just him, BS and trying to, I don't know, preface the game. He'd be like, I don't know, man, it's gonna be tough today, man. Right. I don't know if we're gonna be able to do it. It's funny,
but also I think Mercy, some of those kids kind of, we could make a case for them. Between Caroline Murphy and
I would like to know, do they set the number at 16? So if anybody from the DNC's listening, let me know. Get a hold of me. I don't know. Maybe I'll ask Stevie J myself.
Let's see if we can get him on a phone.
Stevie J, you have his number?
I do.
Give Stevie J a call.
Let me see if I can give this a Fitz.
Dude, look at how fast Fitz was down here, man. As soon as you said, let's get him on the phone. Stevie J is Stevie Johnson, works for the Rochester Democrat and Chronicle, him and Double J. But I would like to know, is it a set number? Do they have to work within a set parameter? Do they, does the DNC go, all right, you get 16
it's James
spots.
Johnson.
James Johnson, yeah.
James Johnson.
No, James is the other one. Stevie is the new guy that took over for Devo.
Well, let's call James.
Let's give him a call.
Here.
Yeah, James is a smaller guy. James is the one that's been there a little longer. So he could definitely give us some insight. No question about that. But my first question would be, how do you set the parameters of how many you can put on the first team?
Right.
And why isn't there a second team? Why do we go right from first team to honorable mention.
Right.
Why no second team?
And my question is, where do you get the information from to base your decisions? You know,
Yes.
I know we're sent a form of with 16 slots. It says each coach gets a slot, put 16 players in there.
Okay.
Right? I mean, do they count those numbers up? You know, I don't know.
So you're saying the coaches vote on all Greater Rochester?
No. What
Okay.
I'm saying is the coaches submit a list of 16 players that they think are qualified to be on All Greater Rochester, and you submit that to the DNC.
Okay.
What the DNC does with that information, we don't know.
I would be willing to bet, being on that end of the media, I am willing to bet that's just kind of a guide to say, let's get your input. Give
Right.
us some feedback. And then I would say that they match numbers. They look at stats. They go by, games that they've seen, players. They probably ask people and things like that. But,
Right.
James or Stevie would absolutely be able to. I mean, even Devo would still be able to do that. He's been out of it. He's working with Westeronicoit now.
Right.
He's their communications person now. But he was with the DNC,
Forever.
doing the sports thing for like 100 years.
Yeah. Looks like it doesn't look like Fitz is getting him on the line.
No.
So.
Hey, it was a good idea, though.
Yeah,
It's a good.
Oh, we got his voicemail.
All right, we gave him a
maybe he
voicemail.
calls back.
That's good. That's good.
But yeah, so let's go down the list. Let's talk about them. So we've talked about Clancy Rude, right? We talked about Lexi Bernicki. We talked about Ellie Mooney, the Player of the Year. Casey Mooney, Jordan
Natalie
Concordia,
Choate.
Natalie Choate going to UMass Lowell.
Yep,
from Spencerport. She's a good player.
Yep, she's got you. Like you said, though, you can't. There's nobody on this list that you can say they don't deserve to be on that list.
Correct.
The problem is there's a lot of players that you can say should be on the list.
Right.
And that's why I would like to see a second team. I thought that there had always been a second team. It's unless my memories,
I thought so too. I
always thought there was a second team.
Right.
But Morgan Cox,
good
Penfield.
player from Penfield, right? She's going to Butler.
Yep. Erin Kuykendall
Going to Northwestern.
Yep. Whether you like how she got those numbers or not, she's
Right.
got the numbers.
Yeah.
And Rhea Davis.
Rhea
We talked
Davis,
about
yep.
her. Yep. Kristen Johnson. Yeah, come on. My scroller isn't
Liv
working.
Wall from Spencerport. I
Yep,
think
yep,
she's on
Olivia
there.
Wall,
She's
yep.
going to Cornell. She's going to be a good player at Cornell.
Susan LaFontaine.
Susan LaFountain. She's going to UConn.
Kate Mashevsky.
Kate Mashevsky going to Cuse.
The Cuse. Who we got here? Casey Mooney. We got Clancy Rude.
Casey Mooney going to Notre Dame. Ellie Mooney going to Notre Dame.
Andra Savage.
Andrew Savage going to
Towson. The Schwabster.
Morgan Schwab going to Virginia. The Schwabi.
I like that kid.
Yeah.
I like her,
Yeah.
man. I'm telling you, I could talk. I could just talk to her for ever.
Yeah.
She's very smart.
Right.
Her acumen seems to be very high.
Oh, she's
You-
incredibly intelligent on the field.
How didn't you say she likes to flap her gums in the car though?
Oh,
was that her?
Well, her and Ashley and Taylor Sampone, they don't shut up.
I
They
got
just
you.
Talk.
I got you. And that's it. That's the 16. And
Okay.
then D'Lo.
So what's important, right? What I think is the most important thing about that list, okay, is look at all the schools that those kids are going to.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me another sport. Just give me one other sport in Section 5, right, that has that many Division I colleges besides boys lacrosse.
I was going to say you
there's
can't.
boy-
The only
yeah.
other one is boys lacrosse.
Boys lacrosse. Another sport besides lacrosse that has that many Division I kids.
There isn't one.
Not one.
There isn't one.
So that just shows the opportunities are real, right? You got all these parents out there. It pisses me off, Spaz. They it's the chances of getting a scholarship is so low. You know what? Bullshit. You know what? That's a crock. The chances of getting a scholarship are huge if you are capable of playing.
If you're capable of, as a parent, if you're capable of supporting what needs to be done, and you don't hover, you don't helicopter, let your kid be coached, because your kid doesn't have a problem with it.
Right.
Your kid is fine. Trust me, Mom. Your kid is fine. And Dad, you're not the coach. Let the coach do the coaching, man. Leave the officials alone. Okay, support and let the kid go through what they have to. You're right. The documentation is there. The numbers are there. Of these 16 players, all of them are going to be going to a big school.
Yeah.
Every single one.
To be on an what a great opportunity for these kids.
Yes.
I mean, let's compare it to soccer. In the 2020 class in Section 5, right? Girls, I know. I think 3 kids are going to play, at good schools, right? I know Grace Murphy's going to Providence. I think the girl
Football.
Chloe from Wayne is going to Ohio State. It's just
football is probably the closest. If we're going to talk.
Not compared to kids, not compared to as many kids as playing. I mean, every school has a football team, right?
Yeah.
Geneseo has a football team.
Yep.
Avon has a football team. Waterloo, all of them, they all have football teams, right?
So what is it about lacrosse, girls lacrosse? You said it. Explain it. Expound on it. What is it about girls lacrosse and boys, but this is a girls lacrosse program. What is it about lacrosse that provides those opportunities?
Is that there's more colleges that are playing now.
Why?
Basically because it's a non-revenue sport, but so every revenue sport you add, on a boys side you got to add on the girls side, because of Title IX.
Title IX.
But it's not a huge expense for them, and it's growing. Right, it's growing. There's more kids that want to play. There's more kids that want opportunities. Right, I just talked to this weekend. The new coach at Pitt. Pitt now has a lacrosse team, a girls lacrosse team. Right, what a great opportunity that would be.
That's a big school.
Yeah, they're
a
D1
big. That's a major university.
They're going to play in the ACC, right? So all these colleges are supplying opportunities, and there's not enough girls. There's not enough kids to take the spots, which is exactly the opposite in women's soccer or men's soccer or football, right? There's so many kids playing more than the opportunities that are available.
Or
in college.
track. Track has the most.
Track's got a lot, yeah.
Track is crazy. You look at track, from Shortsville, from Red Jacket, the track team is just about as big, half the population over there, man.
Right.
It's crazy.
It is. But the funny thing is track and individual sports like that, you don't get cut from the cross country team.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's the big thing.
So
everybody participates.
Right. Everyone gets a soft landing at those types of things. Where lacrosse it's different. It's competitive at the level you're at, but to go to the next level, to get an opportunity, I mean, everyone can get one. Every single kid on my monster team is going to get an opportunity. And I believe that every kid on Common Goals and Relentless Hustles and FCA, all those kids are going to get opportunities too. So that's the biggest difference is the amount of kids playing compared to the opportunities. And it just goes directly against the mom or dad, that goes online and says, well, 0.16 of these kids get athletic scholarships. They should start thinking about, what they're going to do after college. Well, that's great, but the next 6 years they have a tremendous opportunity to go be a part of something, to embrace being on a team, to take what that experience means, to help financially with paying for college, because we know that can be a big expense. And my biggest thing, and I always go back and say, if I went to Nazareth, right, as soon as I stepped foot on Nazareth campus, I had 30 brothers, right, to help with that transition of going to a school and being part of a new environment, right? That's hard. That's not easy for kids. So, just to have that alone, to be a part of it, to have a spot, I think that, that's the value that girls lacrosse and boys lacrosse are supplying to these kids.
I think one of the stigmas against, and again, I'm going to talk about the boys for a second. The stigma is, oh, that's a preppy sport. That's all the rich white kids play that sport, And I don't know how much you've been more involved with the girls' game than I have. Has any of that trickled down? Is there any kind of stigma that comes with the girls' game that a lot of kids might think, I'm not good enough for that. I don't want to play that. I don't want to deal with those kind of people. Is there any of that kind of BS stigma that comes with the girls' game?
I haven't seen that. It's only when you see either tragedy or, confrontation or something bad happens that like let's look at the Duke lacrosse case, right?
Yeah.
Duke. I mean, it was never about privilege until these kids got arrested, right? And
until the
lawyers
defense used it as a means to
villainize
to
them,
vilify them,
right?
yeah.
And that's the only time that it comes into play. I mean, that I've read that book 100 times. I followed that case closely.
Yep.
And everything is about white privilege and this and those kids are privileged because they had money. Thank God they had money to be able to hire a legal team, right, to unravel everything. Because if they didn't, it could have went sideways quick.
The worst part of that, Ronnie, was the coach.
I know.
The worst part of that
he
was
got
the
hung
coach.
out to dry.
He got hung out to dry. He went down with the ship.
He did.
He went down with the ship, and come hell or high water, he was going to have to.
Absolutely.
He was going to have to. He knew he was taking a bullet. He knew he was taking one for the team. He had to, and that was the worst part of that whole deal.
Right.
That whole deal. But to walk it back, you're right. The numbers confirm it. And the biggest thing for me is the O word. Opportunity. But you have to seize the opportunity because, Ronnie, I've always said, I'm Mr. Positive Speaker guy. There's no such thing as a missed opportunity, okay? An opportunity you don't take advantage of, somebody else is going to. And by the way, opportunity isn't going to come knocking on your door. It doesn't just one day wake up and say, hey, I'm going to go see Ronnie and, give him. And you have to work for it. You have to find it. You have to be your own best advocate. You have to believe in yourself, obviously, and get out there and go after it. But I like that you use that word, opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, and opportunity and experience. You're given an experience. It's not always going to be perfect, right? I sent an email out to my club prior to this weekend saying, look, mistakes are going to happen. You're going to be in line at Kona Ice, and they're going to run out of ice. That's a mistake on their part, right? You're going to be on the field, and the official's going to miss a call. You're going to be playing a game, and the coach is going to not put you in for a few minutes because maybe she forgot about you, right? Those are going to happen. You're, as a player, going to go out on the field and drop a ball. Everyone's going to make mistakes, right?
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, it's the total experience that you take in. You go to Disney World for a week, right? Pay a lot of money.
That's a lot of walking.
They make it the happiest place on earth for you, right? Well, what's the difference between a week at Disney World and 11-month commitment to a lacrosse program, right?
I got you.
You're going out there, you're having fun, you're playing, you're exercising, everything that comes in with it. You're winning, you're losing, you're making friends, the camaraderie, you're getting better. So experience and opportunity are the two main things that we focus on, right?
I'm going to walk it back. I'm going to walk it back a couple weeks. I'm going to walk it back maybe even a few weeks. All right. We talked about multiple sports and how, all these color codes, well, you got to play multiple sports, this and that. And you've already said 11 months commitment several times.
Yeah.
Now, look at me. I'm dad.
Yeah.
I'm coming to you and said, you're telling me you need a 11-month commitment, but Coach Joe and Coach Jim and Coach Gary all say that my daughter has to play each of their sports to go anywhere in college. You're on.
Well, Coach Jim, Coach Joe, and Coach Gary, what they're not telling you is, yes, they're right. You should be playing multiple sports. But as I said before, you can't put the stick down. You can't put the stick away. Like I used to play hockey, right? My skates went away when hockey season went over. I picked them back up again, in October, November, right? You can't do that anymore. You at least, why not go out on the bounce back and play, throw the ball off at 500
All right, so
times?
You're not saying it has to be 100% commitment as far as 100% commitment, in the heart and in the mind, but it's not like you've got to spend every single free moment playing wall ball.
Right. So look at the example of, Jerry McNamara, right? He played at Syracuse.
Jerry Mac, baby.
J-Mac, right?
Yep.
Or G-Mac.
Yeah, G-Mac.
G-Mac.
God, I hope Boeheim gets out of there someday so he can move up and coach.
So G-Mac never went pro, right?
No.
Never went pro. But the guy, you can't tell me he put a basketball down 1 month of the year, right? There's no way. There's no way you're going to play at that level and put that down. Greg Paulus, remember him?
Oh, yeah.
Greg Paulus was a fantastic football player at CBA in Syracuse, right? He was Mr. Football right? No one even knew. He called Duke and said, I want to come play basketball for you. And went to Duke and played for Coach K for 4 years. Played basketball for 4 years there.
Yeah.
A point guard, right?
Yep.
Started 3 of them, I believe, right? Then said, you know what? I'm going to go back to Syracuse and I'm going to play football for 1 year. Came back and started quarterback for the football team for 1 year.
Yeah.
So you think Greg Paulus put down a football while he was playing basketball? I don't think so. I don't think there's no way you can come back and do that. You know, I'm sure Paulus was out there throwing passes when he could, right? Staying on it, having fun, being active. But his whole commitment had to be Duke basketball.
So where does a parent, and I'm shooting devil's advocate. I mean, you said make it a good one.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. So where does a parent get the resources? How does a parent tell that kid, okay, you're still going to play this sport, but you also have to find the time to do this one as well? Are you going to help with that? Does the parent go to the coach? Does the parent become the advocate? What kind of resources are out there for that parent to be able to say, we'll make the 11-month commitment, but she's still going to play softball, but she's also going to have a stick in her hand? Where's the resources? What can a parent do?
So what we do, you know, what I do as a club director is I offer the opportunities, right? I don't offer it once a week. I'll offer it 4 times a week, where if they can't come and play with their own age group on a night because they have practice or whatever for their other sport, they can come another night. Our winter training program, right, is so flexible, but it is so impressive because that's where the kids really develop. And like I said, you can come 4 nights a week if you want, but if I get you one night a week, or you know, I'm doing pretty good. So my kids play basketball. My daughter plays basketball, right? But you know, she after basketball practice 1 or 2 nights a week, she'll be over at the training center, you know, playing lacrosse. That's all it takes. You know, gymnastics. Look at gymnastics, right? If you want to be a great gymnast, I have a niece that's a level 8 or 9 or 10 gymnast, right? She goes to practice 5 hours a night.
I was going to say that's a way of life.
6 days a week.
Yeah, that's a way of life.
If not 7.
Yeah.
So I'm asking for 1 hour a week.
That's a good example.
That's it.
So what it sounds to me like, it's flexible but not casual.
Correct. It's 1 hour. Give me 1 hour a week. If I can get you 2 hours, that's even better. But give me 1 hour a week, and I can make sure that you're on a path if you're athletic enough and you want to do it. Now, if you fall behind, right, and other kids are coming 4 nights a week, and you're coming once, and you fall behind, that's survival of the fittest.
We're
right?
opening up a whole nother can of worms now, Ronnie.
That's survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
But that's a difference between this kid going to Syracuse, right?
Yeah.
And this kid going to Marist or something like that.
I got you.
That's
not
the difference.
To throw Marist under the bus.
Not at all, but they're not as competitive as Syracuse, right?
Yes.
So that's the difference right there. So if you're that kid and you know that you're a top Division I kid, North Carolina, Virginia, you know, Louisville, any of those ACC schools, right? You know, you got to put the time in. Ellie Mooney is going to Notre Dame, right? Mm-hmm. You think Ellie Mooney put her stick down? No. She was all county, all Greater Rochester basketball, right? They went to the Federation. They won the state championship. She spent a lot of time playing basketball. You think she put her stick down? Not a chance. No way.
I guess so. Again, just trying to tell these parents, let your kid go through the process.
Yeah.
Let your kid go through the process, man.
What other sport can you play an hour a week, right? And have such great opportunities. Like I said, gymnastics, 30 hours a week they practice, right?
That's and they can't eat. They can't do anything.
Wrestling,
they can't do.
It's crazy. So
it is.
So I think that parents need to, instead of making lacrosse look so bad and it's so crazy, and the parents are crazy, and the coaches are crazy, and the club owners are crazy, right? I mean, it's all dog eat dog against each other, and it's vicious, and it's like, really? Embrace it, right? Don't buy into it, but embrace it. Embrace what we're doing, and your kid will have tremendous opportunity.
I think there's a lot of parents out there that do. The only problem is they're not the ones that are hurt. The ones that are hurt, what's the saying? The squeaky wheel gets the grease, or something like that, or whatever. I don't know, but it's the vocal minority that gets the attention, whereas the silent majority, who's okay with everything, they get screwed because you got to make changes for the ones that are making the most noise.
Right. I mean, we realistically, at Monster, we have a couple parents that are just out of their minds, right? I mean, when I say out of their minds and what they see, look out on the field.
Don't mention names.
I'm not gonna, but they look out on the field and they see something vastly different than the coaches do, right?
Always.
And they're looking for, well, how come my kid's not going to Division I?
But in all fairness, that's human nature.
It is.
It's human nature, but we as the people who are running these organizations and who are doing the coaching, we have to educate them to stop doing that. Don't do that, because you're not helping your child.
Let me tell you, we went over it and over it. You know, I have parent meetings over and over, right, to explain this is the system, this is the process, and some of these parents, it's like they weren't even there.
So what? Let's ramp this up to the next level. Let's go right into the next thing. At what point do you say it's not worth it to keep the kid around because the parents are just too? Have you ever run into that? Have you ever said, you know what? I love the kid. She's a great player, but her parents are a pain in the ass, and I don't want them around.
Right. No. So I've made it a point, because I've seen so much of it, right? And then I am so close to the girls and so close to the players, because I do the 90%, of the coaching year round.
Okay.
That I always said, my thing is, I'm never going to take it out on a kid, for what their parents do. And
You
say,
can't.
You can't. But eventually, you have to be able to look the parent in the eye, and say, look, your kid is just not keeping up. Basically, your kid's not keeping up, and that's a tough conversation, right?
It is. I had that. I will say that I had that with a girl one time. She was on the cusp. I mean, she was on the border of making the team, the basketball team, 5th grade, and her mother came to me and asked me, and I was blessed with this mother because I told her the truth. I said, Your daughter's got to have a really good tryout tomorrow. We're going to have another one, and she's going to have to do really well. And, she didn't go, oh, it's all your fault. You have it out for my daughter. I was just reading a thing online, Ronnie, about teachers and coaches who dealt with those kind of parents. It's insane. But she didn't do that. She went and told her daughter, hey, you got to come out and do your thing. And she did, and she made the team and turned out to be a great player.
Right. Yeah. The parents, like I said, we can educate them as much as we want, but I'm watching my own kid out on the field, right? And I feel it when she makes a mistake. I feel it, right? When she struggles, I feel it. And you want to do everything you can do to help and support. And if you can just keep that in your mind, you're going to have a much better experience with your kids going through high school and college and scholastic and club and all that.
I was just about to say, be the advocate, be a parent advocate. Don't be the coach. Be a parent advocate, right? And tell the parents, tell any parent that's listening right now that's going to hear it on demand, what can they do? Give them a couple steps that they can do to come out of that, to get away from being that parent, that helicopter hover parent, and let their kid be coached and go through the process.
The first thing they need to do, step one, I think is the most important, is don't compare your kids to other kids on their team. Because when you do that, right, as soon as your kid makes a mistake, you don't want, a lot of these parents are saying, well, my kid just made a mistake, but it's not their fault. It's Sally's fault over here. Mm-hmm. First thing they want to do is put the blame on somebody else.
You got to hold your kid accountable.
It's on your kid, right? You cannot go out there and compare your kid to other kids and say, my kid's better than this kid. That's a ridiculous joke in my book. Okay?
I think that's competitive parenting, Ronnie, because if a kid sees their kid make a mistake inside, whether they admit it or not, oh, great, people are going to think my kid stinks and I'm a bad parent. I think there's somewhat of a factor in that, but go ahead.
But I truly think, and I may catch backlash for this, but I truly think if you're out there comparing your kid to another kid on the field, you're an idiot.
Ronnie, some of the things we've said today are much more backlashy than what you just said.
And if you come to me and ever tell me, well, I see it out there. I've been around this game a long time. I've been around sports a long time. I see it. My kid's better.
I coached in 3rd grade.
Yeah, my kid's better than this kid. You know what? You're an idiot. You're an idiot for even comparing your kid to someone else on their own team.
Okay.
Maybe you should be comparing your kid to someone on the other team. Right? Because that's who they're out there competing against.
Or how about comparing your kid to the kid that they were in the last practice?
Exactly.
Because to me, that's the art of competition.
The parents aren't at practice. They don't, that's not what they do. They come out and they watch these tournaments and they judge and they judge and they judge and they put so much focus on winning.
Yeah. The outcome, we have become we're an outcome-based society. Mm-hmm. Okay. To me, you're not defined by the outcome. You're defined by the effort. Okay, it doesn't matter if your kid, whether your kid can score or not is not a sign of whether you're a good parent or not. Your child's coachability, your child's effort, and your child's attitude reflect your parenting.
Right.
That's step one. Give us another step.
Step two is as you already mentioned it, is you got to hold yourself and your kid accountable.
Yes, and we don't do that anymore.
We don't. So, when you like I said, if I get you once a week, I'm happy, right? But when you're in, when you add it all up at the end of the day, it all comes out in the wash, right? So if you want to say, well, how come my kid's not playing more, right? How come my kid's, not starting? How come my kid, doesn't see more playing time, right? Well, if you really go back to the book, how many practices did you make?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, how many texts can I go back through to show you, oh, you text me here, your kid's not going to be at practice tonight because she's got soccer. Okay. I'm not telling you not to go to soccer.
Yep.
Right. All I'm telling you is if you're at lacrosse, you're going to get better. And the kids that are at lacrosse are going to get better.
Yes.
That's number two is you can't expect us to pull a rabbit out of a hat. You can't expect us to make something out of nothing. You have to go. You have to put the work in. You have to do it. And the funny thing is, even this summer, I'm not going to mention the kids, but I got a text last week from a kid that says, "Hey, I can't. We're ramping up to going to this big tournament. Hey, I can't make it. I got basketball." Okay, I'm not going to give you shit about it.
I got you.
But when you hit the goalpost or you throw the ball over the goal or you get the stick, you struggle on the field, right? Rather it's for
if you get on the field,
right? When you're out there, you're going to look at me and you're going to be like, "Oh, what just happened?" Well, maybe if you were playing lacrosse instead of basketball during the summer, right?
It's
when
your fault. You're the coach. It's your fault. I didn't score.
It's on you, And so.
We don't hold kids accountable. Did you, Ronnie? Have you ever seen the cartoon where back in the 70s, all right, a kid had an F, and the parents were whacking the kid upside the head, and then in the 2000s, the kid has an F, the parents are whacking the teacher upside the head, and that's a microcosm of what we're going through as a society now. We lawyer up. My wife used to do that, bro. I love you, Lisa, but she used to lawyer up for the kids, and I'm like, don't do that. Right. You're not holding them accountable. Let them deal with it. Let them be punished. Mm-hmm. And that's the only way they're going to learn.
Yeah. So does that mean we have 2 minutes left when that goes on? 5 minutes left. Okay.
5 minutes. That's the 5-minute bell has rung. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not, but
so I mean, the parents, like I said, they got to hold themselves and their kids accountable, and it's not a bad thing. It's not that their kids are bad, right?
Right.
But it's life. Did you happen to see there's a news article that came out this week. There's a guy who wrote an article saying The Lion King, right? The Lion King is bad. The Lion King, the movie, it portrays a good light of like communism, and because it's the lion up here and the hyenas down here, and it creates wrong socialisms and stuff like that. So he condemned The Lion King, right? The circle of life. He condemned it. What an idiot, right? It's survival of the fittest, and it is what it is. If you don't want to be a part of it, right? If you don't choose to be a part of survival of the fittest, which is in every aspect of your life.
It is.
If you choose not to be a part of it, you can go somewhere else. There's an opportunity to go somewhere else. Unlike the cartoon, right? Unlike the Lion King cartoon, the hyenas have nowhere else to go.
No, they don't.
Right? In today's society, if you choose not to be a part of the survival of the fittest, that's okay. You can go to a softer landing. You can take your kid. Okay, my kid, is not going to be a part of this, purple team on Monster, right? No way is she going to play white. I'm just going to take her to another club. I'm just going to, have her concentrate on soccer or basketball because there's soft landings there. It makes it's all rah-rah. All you're doing is setting your kid up for failure.
Yes. An uncoachable kid becomes an unmanageable adult.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. You make me want to go have a kid, a girl, just so she can grow up and play lacrosse for you, man.
Well, I mean, I just don't see a better way to do it. I understand socialisms and I understand, anxieties and this and that. And you don't want your kid to have a bad experience, right? It's a decision you have to make. But this is what I'll say. If you get in the arena of survival of the fittest, right, and you're able to survive, your kid's going to be that much better off. That's simple.
Well, the problem is life is the arena. I understand PC, political correctness and all that. We've changed. We've gone a different direction with that. But the reality is, your child is going to have to compete when they get out in the real world.
No matter what they do,
they're going to have to compete for a job. They're going to have to compete for everything.
Everything.
And that's the bottom line. So let your kid go through the process.
Exactly.
Don't let them be uncoachable.
Stay out of it.
Yeah.
Just support them. I'm like I said, I'm going through it now with my daughter. All I can do is support.
Sure.
And that, and I think that she's going to be better off.
How speaking of D-Lo, how hard is it for you not to run down there and go, "What are you thinking, man?"
You know what? As a coach, I know, I don't, he does things or other coaches do things that I probably wouldn't do or agree with.
Frank Martin is basketball coach, college basketball coach. I can't remember what school he is. You'd know him if you saw him. He's the guy that if he looks at you, you're crapping your pants.
Right.
All right. He gives you the look. He came around. A person asked him, how, because his daughter played. I think it was his daughter that plays basketball. How do you deal with other coaches? What are you talking about? When my kid's playing, I'm not a coach. I'm dad.
Right.
I don't have a word to say to the other coaches. That's their job.
Mm-hmm.
They do whatever they got to do. I have players that I coach, and I handle them.
Right.
And I wouldn't want to be handled by him, dude. He's a scary dude.
Right.
Look him up, Frank Martin. You'll know who he is when you see him. But, man, this was a good podcast,
yeah,
dude. We got a lot out. Got a lot out.
Last week we didn't do a top five. We got to get the Fairport Hots top five, and I got my top five. You got.
I did not come up with a top five. I'll bounce off of yours.
Okay, so this week, I don't even know if it's five I got this week, but the top, my number five for one is an event that's going to take place right this weekend.
Okay.
Shootout for Soldiers in Canada.
I am the MC for that,
okay,
bro.
So that's my number five this week. If you get an opportunity, go support Shootout for Soldiers in Canada.
It helps veterans. It's a 24-hour lacrosse event at Canandaigua.
Correct.
They're using the box as well.
Oh, perfect.
I believe
a lot of lacrosse out there. Go out there, have lunch, spend some money at concessions, buy a T-shirt, whatever you can do to support out there would be great.
Nice.
For again, Shootout for Soldiers. My number four this week. Okay. I'm gonna give it to the Relentless Hustle 2024 team. Okay.
Okay.
They came out and they had a game plan against Monster 2024, and they executed it, and they didn't win, okay? But like I said, it's not all about the winning and losing. They came out, those kids did a great job against, it's always been said, Monster 24 will crush Relentless Hustle, right? They didn't. They came out, they got off the bus, they played. They're my number four team of the week this week, okay? My number three team of the week, okay, goes to my Monster 2022 team. Okay. We finished up yesterday. They had a tremendous summer. Ups and downs. Abby Harrod led that team, right? Ups and downs.
I love that kid.
Yep. And so they're my number three this week. Because, like I said, they went to the G8 and they went 4-1 against the top teams in the country, and they made it to the playoffs this weekend, beating some really good teams at the Mid-Atlantic. So they're my number. They're my number three. Okay. My number two team is actually going to go to my 2024 Monster team. All right. The 2024 Monster team in Memorial Day weekend lost 13-0. We talked about this, right? At the club championships, the NGLL, 13-0 to M&D Black. Right?
Yeah.
Didn't get a shot on goal. Lax for the Cure. They go 0-3 in their pool. They got M&D Black. They beat them.
Nice.
3 weeks after.
Baldwinsville, right?
No, it was actually in New Jersey. They beat them, right?
Yeah.
Then this past weekend in the toughest division, they played M&D Black to a 2-goal game, right? They made it to the semifinals and they lost to Heroes by 1 goal. in the
One goal.
semifinals. But to make it to the semifinals
That's
of the
awesome.
Mid-Atlantic
And that's
is huge for them.
2024's?
2024, seventh graders.
I was
right?
going to say 7th grade, right?
Right. My number one team this week, my number one, Fairport Hots, number one on our last podcast of our last week, is going to go to my 2020 team.
Okay.
Not for the way they played this weekend. Okay. Not for the way that, they've been playing. All of them are committed to the next opportunity in college, right? They've worked so hard and they deserve the best. And a lot of them are going, some are going to Notre Dame and Virginia and Louisville and Maryland, right? They deserve it. They've put in so much work and so much time that overall, my last podcast, my last hurrah of the summer, right? I got to give all the credit in the world to Coach Monty, who's been my assistant coach.
Excellent.
And that 2020 team for everything that they've did to bring Monster Lacrosse.
Now, wasn't
along.
I reading that was your first ever Monster team? Yeah.
First
or
ever
did you
Monster
say that?
team.
I don't know if you had
They
just
are.
mentioned
They're my
that,
first
but,
ever
yeah.
team, and they've really paved the way for the Monster teams at the younger levels to they play in the toughest divisions against the toughest teams at week in and week out, and to do that, they've really it's a testament to their just their toughness and the work that they've put in. So my hat's off to my my beloved 2020 team. I love you all. So proud of all of you. And we still got a lot of work to do as individuals. Ronnie. We got a lot of work because we got to now prepare those kids for their college.
The next level. Absolutely.
But as a team, salute to them, and they've done a great job, and I'm very proud of them.
I'll give you 3.
Okay.
FLX software top 3. 3 favorite things that have happened for the season with Canandaigua Girls Lacrosse.
Oh, we're going CA. Okay.
Yep. First, I was at 20 out of 21 games.
Yeah.
I only missed one. First is the doubleheader that I did when you guys won the sectionals at Sutherland, and then I went directly over to St. John Fisher College and called the boys' game. So the doubleheader.
Was that a Section 5 championship?
Oh yeah.
And who did we beat?
You beat Spencer.
Oh, that's right. In overtime.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
That might show its ugly, its beautiful head again. So number 2 was going to Cortland with you guys. That was just a fun trip.
Yeah.
For one, I made a couple dollars.
Yeah.
For once, I made a couple bucks.
Good.
And for 2, it was just a lot of fun. It's a fun team, and it was fun to watch you guys. It was fun to watch Clancy Rood shut down, top player in the country, top recruit in the country, and that's number 2. Number 1. Let's walk it back. The big rig knocking down the overtime winner to win the Section 5 sectionals title. And then I saw the picture after that, one of the most beautiful pictures I've ever seen. Everybody hugging her, and she was just like you could see it. You could see the energy just coming out of her body, and she's like, "Oh, it was awesome."
Yeah.
So that's my number 1. I wasn't sure what to do. I was maybe going to do the top 5 players that are on the first team or whatever, but there you have it.
Yeah. So, all right, everyone, we are wrapping up our show for the summer. We're going to be back in September on Mondays at noon. Thank everyone for tuning in and being such great supporters of the Rockstars Girls Lax podcast with me, Ronnie Davis, and Craig the Spazman Simmons.
Right on, brother.
And we will see you guys in September.
Do your best to be your best.
That's right. Thank you.
Peace.